Impermanence, huh? So let's see what we can cover today, in case if I die next week, huh? Yeah. All phenomena is impermanent. Is what do you call that? Is dependent arising, is empty. So last week was the first lesson, and we we managed to finish the title. So we managed to do it very quickly. Otherwise, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times 3 months, it'll be 24 months. If I take 3 months per character, as 天台智大师 did for 法华经. So from last week, is there any questions or anything to ask? Some of you, at least one of you did email me about the fact that the sutra is from the Dragon Palace, and then there was a question about where the palace is. Enlarge it, well, still need to enlarge, can. Is this better? Can? Right, then I may have to. Can, okay. So, yeah. I hope that by getting that out of the way, we can focus on the teaching itself. Yeah. Otherwise, we'll always have this gnawing question. So where is this from, and so on and so forth. Yeah. In my opinion, where it's from is perhaps not so important in a way. Yeah. More important that it is the truth. Yeah. But how do we know that it's the truth? So we have to first listen and hear. At least we know what it is first. Then we try to reflect upon it, see whether it makes sense. Yeah. And consider whether if we were to reflect it on the meaning, does the meaning conflict with existing teachings given by the Buddha? Yeah, known teachings, known first principle. The Buddha declares Sabbe Sankhara Anicchati. All conditioned phenomena are all impermanent. Does this teaching say so? Is it in unison? Is it in agreement? Or is it against it? Yeah. That's a better way to consider whether this is Dhamma or Adhamma. Yeah? So, last week we stopped at the title. We kind of started with the first line, 观自在菩萨行深, but we haven't even finished 观自在菩萨. So, we were explaining a bit about what Pusa is. Yeah? Puti Sattva. Yeah. And we went through a brief description of the 10 stages, with the 3 time periods. So, a person who goes through this is considered a Bodhisattva. But why would one person, anyone, choose to go through this? We go through this in order to awaken sentient beings. Yeah? Bodhi means awaken, and Sattva here refers to sentient beings. Jie you qing. Yeah. So the translation in Chinese, Pusa is actually the transliteration. If you were to translate the meaning, it would be Jue you qing, which is awakening of sentient beings. But there are 2 angles, 2 levels. One is that a sentient being who strives for enlightenment, and the other one is someone who strives to enlighten sentient beings. Yeah. A Bodhisattva is someone who strives for enlightenment in order to enlighten sentient beings. Yeah. Now, in the case of Guan Pusa, Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, what is his level? Is he over here with us? No. Is he here? Is he here? No. He's said to be a stage 10 Bodhisattva. Stage 10 Bodhisattva. In one of the teaching known as the Great Compassionate Dharani text, it says that this Bodhisattva has long attained Buddhahood. Has long attained Buddhahood. So this is where those who are what do you call that? Are very firm in the Theravadan teachings may have to pause your criticism for a while. Yeah, because sometimes when we look at Mahayana teachings, then it seems to be in conflict, because here it says in the various texts it says that Guan Pusa has long attained Buddhahood, but we call him a Bodhisattva. So what does that mean? Is he a Bodhisattva or is he a Buddha? Yeah. So this is a question mark I want you to put into your head first. For now, you just take it that he has attained stage 10, and we'll come back to look at how this is possible and what is the implication at a later stage. If we can, we'll come back to this today. Once we cover the teaching on what emptiness is. Can? Okay. So this Guan Pusa, in the preamble, the Venerable Sariputra then through Sakyamuni Buddha asked about how Guan Pusa practiced. And so the reply was, Guan Pusa xing shen pora pora mi duo shi zao jian wu yin jie kong. If you refer to the text, you'll find the subsequent translation. Guan Pusa xing shen pora pora mi duo shi. So this. I may have to put it in this way, Okay, Xing Shen, is it legible? Legible, Okay, but it get cropped off. Okay. Okay. So here. This Xing Shen and Polo Mi Do here Xing refers to what he's doing in his mind. Xing in Chinese means to act. To act. here it's not referring to him doing things, not doing physically, but doing in his mind, his cultivation in his mind. The Shen here, according to my teacher, it is describing this practice of the deep form of wisdom, which is referring to, if you recall previously, we have the three types. It's referring to the cultivation form of wisdom. Yeah. So what does it mean by cultivation form of wisdom? Then it means that here it is not just mere book knowledge, it is not just discussion, but he goes into jhana, and then from there do direct seeing. And hence, following this section, 照见五蕴皆空. Understand? In the Pali Canon, the Buddha, there are descriptions of the Buddha doing basically that as well. It would say that the Buddha entered into first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. And within the fourth jhana, with the mind free of joy and rapture, with the stability of equanimity, and then he see directly, mind and body, this and that, and so on and so forth. So this is basically the same description for this. So when we say 行深般若波罗蜜多时, it's basically saying that he was when avalokite Shwara was cultivating perfection of wisdom. So this this translation, you have it in your text, but I'm explaining what this means. What this means is that the cultivation of perfection of wisdom means that he is in jhana, and then through this wisdom peer into the true nature of ultimate reality. Understand? Make sense or not? Understand or not? You must respond. Don't 金口不开哈. I'm having cough and my 金口都开了. Okay, so when you cultivate in this way, then what happened? "照见五蕴皆空." When he cultivated in this way, he see and observe directly that the five aggregates, this is known as panchakhandas or panchaskandhas. Panchakhandas. Are you familiar with Pali? How many of you are familiar? Familiar doesn't mean you know very well, but at least some basic terms are. How many of you? Okay. I'm asking not to put you all in the spot. I'm asking so that I know how much to explain. Otherwise, if I explain every term that you already know, you may like, waste my time, But if I assume too much that you know all the terms, then you may, after the class, wonder what I'm talking about. So, in Sanskrit is skandhas. These two, different spelling, but it's referring to the same thing. Aggregate. Chinese is yun. There's a few translations. The common one that we use today is yun. The meaning of this aggregate, there are five altogether. forms, feelings, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. 色受想行识. So these 5, I'll go through in a bit more detail. But before we go through in detail, it is not just 5 things. Okay? It is 5 collections of things. 5 collections of things. So for example, how many pen are there here? 2. Yeah. Collectively, this is pen, isn't it? Yeah. So even if you put a lot of pen here, there's only pen. Yeah, one collection of pen. Then if let's say you have pen and then you have cup, cup and pen are different. So even if you have 10,000 cups, it's still cups. Okay? So when the Buddha used aggregate, he's referring to how physical form, it is not one thing, it is a collection of things that you call physical form. Feelings, which I will go through, there's some subtle nuances which is quite interesting. It is not just one thing that you call feelings, but it's a collection of things that you give it a common label, feelings. Of course, they share certain characteristics, certain attributes that allow them to be grouped together. The same goes for perception, mental formation, and consciousness. Okay? So the 5 aggregates are basically, repeat after me, forms, feelings, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. Yeah, so in Chinese is 色受想行识. So, what is form? In Chinese is 色, in Pali is rupa. The Chinese translation for rupa is actually not wrong. It's actually not wrong. It literally means color. Yeah, literally means color. And why? Because one senior monk explained to me, he said, physical things can be seen. Yeah? It has color attributes. But of course today, in modern times, we say air is also physical, isn't it? Yeah. So it goes to show that in the Buddha's time, the common view of this world is a bit different from how we look at this world. Yeah. In the Buddha's time, there's also the element of space, which is basically what we call air today. Yeah. There's no mention about vacuum in that sense in the past. Yeah. So there are some things that we have to reconcile and note that the way this world appeared to people in the past is slightly different from how we look at it today. Today, when we talk about feelings, how many of you think about emotions? How many of you think about emotions? Very good. That's why I thought wrong. Well, I mean, not really wrong, but we tend to think about feelings as emotions. But in fact, when the Buddha mentioned about Vedana, and Chinese translated as shou, it refers to sensation. Yeah. The first experience when you come into contact with something. What comes after that is emotions. Yeah, usually. So emotions and feelings is actually 1 or 2 layers apart. Okay. Later on, when we come to, go through a bit in more detail, we'll explore what that difference is. So, but back to forms. So, physical form, there's a phrase called 根身器界. 根身器界. Is it clearer? Okay. So, 根身器界, this refers to our physical body, and 器界 refers to the external world. Why call 根身? So, this body with all the sense bases, the sense bases, and then 器界, referring to the world itself, that acts like a vessel in which sentient beings reside. In which sentient beings reside. So it is like if we are in a boat, then the boat is a vessel for the passengers. But all the various realms, they act like vessels for sentient beings. Be it human realm, heavenly realm, the three lower realms. All this acts like vessel. So the description 器界 refers to the external physical world. So basically, when we talk about 5 aggregates, we usually tend to think about forms as just our physical body. But in fact, it covers everything. I refer to the Satipatthana Sutta inside the Pali Canon. Inside the Pali Canon, we have the Tripitaka, and then we have the Vinaya Pitaka, the Sutta Pitaka, and the Abhidhamma Pitaka. Okay, this is the Pali Canon. And inside the Sutta Pitaka, we have Digha Nikaya, okay, you can put it here first. So this is the long discourses. Then we have Majjhima Nikaya, the middle length. We have the Samyutta Nikaya, this is the connected discourses. We have the Anguttara Nikaya, this is the numerical or the incremental discourses. And then we have the Khuddaka Nikaya. Which is basically the short text. So within the Majjhima Nikaya, number 10, we have the Satipatthana Sutta. This is a bit of extra information for you to be aware of the context. So in the Satipatthana Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya number 10, so there's mention about the 4 foundations, to be mindful of the body, feelings, mind and mind object. Within the first foundation, then there's mention about being aware of the different aspects of this physical body, such as the breath, such as when we are moving and wearing robes and so on and so forth. And there's mention about the awareness of these different 36 parts of the body as foul. Then there's also mention about the physical body in terms of the 4 elements. And when the Buddha go into the 4 elements portion, then he specifically mentioned about how just as the earth element outside in the mountain, is hard. Likewise, this is hard. But even though that is hard, it is impermanent and so on and so forth. Likewise, this inside, and the water element, the wind element, the fire element, 地水火风. So, needless to say, throughout the various sutras, the Buddha do refer to the 5 aggregates, the form aggregate, referring to both the physical body and the external physical world. Okay? So, what does that mean? This is mind, and many times we just say this is body. But if this is mind and physical form refers to both the body and the physical world, what is the scope of these 5 aggregates? In fact, the scope would include everything in the world. Everything in the world. And that's perhaps why inside the Samyutta Nikaya, this one, there's many sutras. There's one sutra called the All. In Pali is Sabbe Sutta. Or Sabba Sutta. Sabba Sutta. You all can go and search. Okay? Give you all a homework. Okay, you ready? Okay, the homework is go online to access to insight.org and search for this sutta called the All. And inside you'll find the Buddha replying to the question, the All, the All. What is the All? Then the Buddha explained that within the eye, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind, the form, sound, smell, taste, touch and mental objects, beyond this, if anyone tried to establish the All, that cannot be done. So the 5 aggregates basically encompasses the whole world. The whole world. All phenomena can be encompassed within the 5 aggregates. The implication, I'm kind of jumping ahead into the implication first. I haven't gone through this tree. The implication of this is when the Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva cultivate the perfection of wisdom, and he penetrate into how the 5 aggregates are all empty, okay? He basically encompassed the whole world and basically see that the whole world is empty. Not just the physical body, but the whole world is empty. Now this is something that you will repeatedly find within all sutras. Be it the sutras that you find in the Pali canon or in the Chinese Mahayana canon. And what is that? These 5 things, the 5 aggregates. So we have physical form. Okay, give me some feedback here. How many of you is hearing about the 5 aggregates for the first time? Raise your hand. Okay, so the rest, all of you know, huh? So if I were to just randomly pick one of you, you should be able to just tell me what is the first aggregate, what is the second aggregate. Can? Can, huh? Okay. So, form, physical form. The physical form comprises the 4 elements. The 4 elements. Di, Shui, Huo, Feng. earth, water, fire, wind. But when we say earth, water, fire, wind, we must note that it is not referring to literally water. Yeah, not literally this water. Yeah. When we say earth, it's not literally that earth. But it's referring to the hardness, that quality of hardness and softness. Water in terms of the viscosity, whether something is rough or smooth and so on and so forth. Fire, referring to heat and cold and growth and decay. Then wind, movement and stillness, stability and lack of stability. That all physical things have these 4 attributes. Feelings. How many types of feelings are there? In one of the sutra, the Buddha mentioned about 108 types. The sutra started off, and this is again from the Pali Canon. You find that throughout the whole Heart Sutra workshop, I would repeatedly refer mainly to the Pali Canon. And I do this for one simple purpose, because many times when we look at Chinese Mahayana Sutra, the question might be, is it authentic? But you'll find that all the components inside the Chinese Mahayana Sutras can be found within the Pali Canon, including emptiness. So, feelings. There was this conversation between a few monks. One say, okay, there are 2 types of feelings, body and mind, mental feeling. Then another one said, no, there are 3 types of feelings. So Venerable Ananda, after hearing the different types, was perplexed. So he went to see the Buddha, and the Buddha said, they are all correct. And not just that, and the Buddha went on to illustrate how there are 108 types. There are 108 types of feelings. So for the purpose of our discussion here, I will just mention about the 3 main types of feelings. Painful, pleasant, neither painful nor pleasant. The 3 types. So this is the 3 types of feelings. The first 2 types are fairly easy to understand. Painful feeling. Is there anyone who does not know what painful feeling is? Please raise your hand, and I will have the student next to you give you a slap. Pleasant feelings, I think all of us would know also. So when we talk about this painful or pleasant feeling, it is not just physical. It is also mental. So, fair enough, but how about the 3rd type? So the 3rd type, sometimes in some places, they would translate as neutral. I personally disagree with that translation. Why? Because to be neutral seems to be more like a response than an experience. Let me explain. If I were to ask you this question, your legs in contact with the floor, how does it feel currently? How many of you feel painful? What, already? Maybe some of them came 1 hour beforehand. That's why I've been sitting like that. So, how many of you, when your legs, as it is, how many of you feel pleasant? Nobody feel pleasant about it, huh? Yeah, if you give me a choice, yeah, I would choose sitting cross-legged anytime. Yeah. So in fact, some days when I don't sit cross-legged for too many hours, then I will sit cross-legged and I feel, yeah. So, if you all don't feel painful and you don't feel pleasant, what is that feeling? Huh? That not neutral. Yeah. Of course, you can always choose to say, no, Sifu, I say it's neutral. Yeah. Why do I say that it's not neutral? I say that, let me ask you, before I ask you whether it is painful or pleasant, did you even think about it? For us to say that something is neutral, you must be aware of it. We are not even aware of it. We're not aware of it because it's not painful enough to draw your attention, not pleasant enough to draw your attention as well. On a hot day when you come into an aircon room, you can really feel it. Yeah? But the same aircon, when you are sick, you can also feel it very strongly. But when you are not sick and you come into an aircon room and you feel good about it, after a while that feeling go away. Yeah? After a while that feeling go away. Yeah? And you can always explain and rationalize and understand that, oh, it's because the temperature, change and you're now of the same temperature. But the key thing is that at some point, then you don't experience that pleasantness anymore. And once you don't experience that pleasantness, do you still go and is your attention being drawn to it? Usually no. Yeah, usually no. So those experiences or sensation or feelings, if you will, which is not strong enough to be painful, not strong enough to be pleasant, the Buddha gave it this term, this name, neither painful nor pleasant. Neither painful nor pleasant. And when it's neither painful nor pleasant enough to draw your attention, we don't do you care about it? You don't. Yeah? You don't think about it. You don't care about it. And so we become oblivious of it. And that's why usually you don't think about it. And we become unaware of it. That is subtly changing. When we meditate, we would have all kinds of thoughts. Sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes you will not have much thoughts. But when you do have thoughts, let me ask you, has anyone ever meditated and out of the blue, you think about a scene from the morning when you were brushing your teeth? Anyone? If you do, see me after this. You need you need professional help. Anyone? No, don't worry. No, no problem. Yeah, this is to be expected. I've asked many classes over the years, and this is the same answer. Almost different people can have different meditative experiences, but so far I have consistently asked this question, and consistently no one has ever meditated and suddenly think about themselves brushing the teeth. Yeah, but we may think about events. Yeah, whether we are meditating or not meditating, we may suddenly think about certain events that actually just happen once in our life. Yet, brushing our teeth is, for most people, a daily affair. For most people. It's so regular. One could argue that it's so regular we don't really think about it. But yet at the same time, if you ever once brush your teeth and accidentally poke yourself, you probably would remember. Yeah? And why? Because when you poke yourself, it is painful. And that pain leaves an impression. And we respond to it. We are drawn to it. We're alert to it. We pay attention to it. But usually when you brush your teeth, hopefully it's not painful. Yeah? And as a result, we are oblivious of it. Besides the fact that half the time when people wake up in the morning, you are just yeah. So that is why I would usually still stick to the original text, which is neither painful nor pleasant. So these are the three kinds of feelings. We'll come back to this later on. Yeah, we revisit these three things, and we will look at how these three things give rise to many other problems. Feelings. Next, perception. Sanya. Yeah. There's another translation which is ideation. It basically refers to the forming up of ideas, the labeling process, the process where we think. Okay, where we think, we form concepts and so on. And within this is a whole plethora, different ways of thinking, different ways of perceptions. Mental formations is a bit interesting. Sankhara. Sankhara. Everything that is already classified in feelings, perception and consciousness, everything else falls under mental formation. Yeah, everything else falls under mental formation. Okay? So rightly speaking, emotions fall under mental formations. And within mental formations, there's a specific type of mental formation which is usually highlighted as volition. Yeah, volition. In 2007, when I was in 2007 or 2008, 2007, yes. 2008 I was over in JP. 2007 I was in Myanmar, and I had this question, because I was questioning what feeling is. And when you look at the Sutra, it seems to sometimes be quite vague about it. Yeah, and the description of feelings is not quite how we look at emotions. So I asked 3 sayadaws when I was in Myanmar. One sayadaw said, I asked, is emotions under Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, or cannot be consciousness? So he said, well, it should be under mental formation. So I said, okay. And then there happened to be 2 other sayadaw. I wasn't trying to pit them against each other, okay? But because during the interview and during the Dhamma session, we had a chance to ask, so I wanted to clarify. Second one said, emotions should be under perception. I was like, huh? Perception? He said, yes, perception. And the third one said, emotions should be under feelings. So all 3 sayadaws give 3 different answers. So, although I tell you that emotions should not be under feelings, and I have good reasons for that, there's basis from the sutta, okay? Yeah. This is not about, textbook Dharma, but this is about what the Buddha was trying to say, yeah? And as far as if you look at the text itself, feelings is the part when you come into contact with something, that initial first impact, that first experience. Yeah. In the sutra, it says, when the eye come in contact with physical form, with the 2 together form as a condition, then consciousness arises. With consciousness and the sense-based sense object coming together, that is contact. With contact as a condition, feelings arise. Okay? You can see this inside the sutta. But what's more interesting is if you go and meditate. You go and meditate, and you go and observe intently. You will see that this is true. That indeed, the first initial contact, that first awareness occurs in this way. And that feelings is referring to that first contact and what happens from that contact. But after that contact, then you have emotions. Take for example, him. Say for example, after this class, did you drive? You drove. Then it doesn't make it interesting. Let's say you didn't drive, and you are taking a bus. So after the class, he walks down, and then goes to the bus stop and sit there waiting for the bus. As he's sitting there, he's checking his message, and suddenly he feel a tap. And when he felt the tap, how do you feel about the tap? Started, huh? But physically, it's just a tap. So what would you do after that? Turn around. Would you say that the tap is painful?
No.
Would you say that it's pleasant?
No.
So it's neither painful nor pleasant. So when you turn around, you see Sifu. So how do you feel now? Still started. In most classes, when I go through this exercise, they will say happy. Started and happy. Yeah, we need to have some discussion the next time. So the happy or the started after that comes after that first contact. So the startedness or the started part is the emotion. The contact that is basically just a physical feeling. Understand? So if now I were to go to him and tap, that feeling, that physical feeling is going to still be the same, but there's no startedness. Because that's the emotion, the response. Now imagine if you are again at the bus stop, and then you felt a tap. Now how do you feel? Physically. Is it painful?
No.
Is it pleasant?
No.
So it's neither painful nor pleasant. So you turn around, and what do you see? No one. Lagi started. So from so after Lagi started, do you feel happy? No, maybe fear will set in, and then immediately he will recall Karaniya Atakosalena. Wow, Metta Sutta come out. Then Metta halfway tap again. Wow, all the Bodhisattvas name come out, Buddha name, 7 Buddhas in the past, all come out. So that is neither painful nor pleasant. Do you have nieces or nephew?
Yes.
So if your niece were to, sometimes kids, how old is your niece? 3 months. 3 months. Are 3 months old kids able to slap or pinch? Not enough.
I've not experienced that.
Okay. Now let's imagine that your 3-month-old niece is super strong. Okay. So while playing with your 3-month-old niece, she slapped you. Pia! How do you feel? Let's talk to you. What? Your emotional range. We need to have a chat. So your emotion is started, not started, neither started nor not started. Can I share with you other kind of usually, for most people, when you get slapped, you feel pain. So let's try that again. So when you get slapped by your knees, how do you feel on your face? Pain. Okay, very good. So after that, okay, class dismissed.
Transition is very short. From pain to start.
Okay, well, let's go along. So you will get started, right? Okay, very good. So let's say, how can I elicit an emotion other than startedness? Okay. So for you, you still feel started. So let's say, I really cannot think of anything else that will. No, when your let's say Sifu come over, and let's say you are feeling, or let's say you had a fall, and of course you felt started for having a fall, and after the startedness from the fall, then your leg is in pain, right? So Sifu come over and apply balm for you, okay? Yeah, and then give you a pat and console you like, don't be so started, huh? So as I pat your shoulder, how do you feel physically? Huh? Physically. Nice, huh? Yeah. So then emotionally, how do you feel? Not started anymore, huh? Okay. So then imagine when you take a bus, as you go up the bus, then the bus driver also give you a pat. Started. Yes. This is the desired response. Yeah. So my point is, well, that took quite a while. 15 minutes to get something else out of him. So from the physical emotion, not emotion, physical feeling, it can be pleasant, it can be painful, it can be neither painful nor pleasant, but the emotional response can be varied. Okay, can be varied. Yeah. Something that is pleasant, like just a pet, usually we would think that, that should elicit joy. But if it's a bus driver who can't pet you, you're taking the bus, and then you fell asleep, and then we woke up to someone, stroking you, and then it's a bus driver, hello. Quite terrifying, huh? Quite started, huh? Yeah. So, I hope that helps everybody understand that these feelings is not equals to emotions, unequal to emotions. Now, but let me throw in one more spanner into the whole pot. How about mental feeling? Mental feeling is very tricky. Admittedly, mental feeling is sometimes indistinguishable from emotions because it's too close. So I want you to do a thought experiment, an actual recollection. Think about a time when you got upset. Okay? Can you recall? Okay, stop. Now, think about me. Okay, don't think about me. Okay, think about that incident again. Okay? And just stop the moment you think about it. Now, how would you describe that experience of thinking about that incident? Is it pleasant? You wouldn't call it pleasant, is it? Would you call it neither painful nor pleasant? Would you so can we say that it's not pleasant? It's probably not pleasant, isn't it? Maybe it hasn't crossed the threshold of being painful. But definitely it's not a nice experience. At that point, it is just feelings. And if you allow yourself to continue to think about it, then most likely you will have emotional responses, and you start to feel big tick, and sometimes even evoke a verbal. So understand? So even for the mental part, there can be mental feeling, which is the initial experience of thinking of something. Okay? Yeah. But usually, it is so close to the emotional response. Usually, we can't tell the difference. Yeah. Okay? Usually, we can't tell the difference. But there is a difference. Now, you may then a person may then ask this question, but what's the whole point of separating in this way? Why can't we just lump everything together? Yeah, we can lump everything together. Yeah, but the purpose of seeing this separately is so that we understand how we don't always have to respond negatively. Yeah, we don't always have to evoke negative emotions to a painful experience. Even if it's painful, we must know that the emotional response is a response. Yeah, and it doesn't always have to correlate. Negative, then it must be unhappiness. Pleasant, then I must be happy and then crave. Yeah? It doesn't always have to be that way. At least understand in concept. Yeah? Then this paved the start of the possibility for us to break out of that cycle, of this habitual cycle. That whenever we have a nice experience, then we will just respond with a lot of emotions, and then even worse, impute everything into that one thing or two things. And everything get what after that? Or if it's a painful experience, then we also get drawn into it emotionally. Yeah. To realize that we don't have to always respond with emotion. Yeah. So, mental formations, for me, I would put emotions under mental formation. Okay? Under mental formations. And then volition is also under mental formation. Planning and a lot of other things are all under mental formations. In the Abhidhamma text, in the commentaries, then it mentions about mental concomitants. Mental concomitants. Yeah? Cetasika, everything else, basically. Everything else that is not described in feelings, not described in perception, not described in consciousness, everything else is inside mental formations. Yeah? Lastly, consciousness. Huh? Sorry? Come down. Oh, okay. Good, thank you. Okay, this is Vijnana or Vijnana. So consciousness. How does consciousness arise? Consciousness arises when when we have sense base with sense object, and this sense base and sense object give rise to consciousness, sense consciousness. These two coming together give rise to sense consciousness. These three coming together is called contact. Contact as a condition give rise to feelings. Okay? Or what I would translate as sensations. Because to me, sensations is raw. Yeah? It directly tells you it's very raw. Okay? So what are the different types of sense bases? Repeat after me. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Yeah, so these are the 6 sense bases, what we call 眼耳鼻舌身意. So, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. And eyes see what? See people, see forms. See ears hear sounds. Yeah. So nose, smell. Tongue, taste. Body, touch. Mind, mental object. Yeah. So this is Sen, Xiang, Wei, Chu, Fa. So, so far so good. And the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind come in contact with form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mental object, and together they give rise to eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, mind consciousness. Yeah, the consciousness are named after the sense bases. Okay, so nose consciousness it comes about from what? Huh? Nose consciousness from nose and smell. Yeah, understand? Okay. Eye consciousness. Well, I hear someone say sound. Yeah. So eye consciousness come about from eye and form. Okay. Sometimes we hear people say sight. Sight is a function of the eye consciousness. Okay, eye consciousness. So the first 5 consciousness, based on eye, ears, nose, tongue, body, these 5 have what we call 了别. It has the function of bare awareness, 了别. Whereas the mind consciousness has the ability to 分别. Which is basically to discern, to distinguish, to discriminate. Is it clear on the screen? Can What is the difference between 了别 and 分别? So this is an experiment again, which I would always do in my Heart Sutra class. So those of you who have done it before, you will know that you know what I'm going to do. Those who have never done it before, please follow my instruction carefully. Yeah, it's very important to follow the instructions carefully because you can only do it once. Yeah. Understand? Yeah. If you don't do it correctly, you will not experience the Okay, so I want you all to look at the Buddha's image. Oh wait. Okay, I realized that I usually do this on a whiteboard. Let me see how can I do this. Okay, look at this corner here. Okay, can you all see the corner here? I'm going to mark a cross here. Can you see the cross? Okay, so I want you to stare at the cross. Don't look at me. I know that you may want to look at me. Okay, look at this cross. While you're looking at this cross, without moving your gaze, okay? Can you see my pen? Probably, yeah? Can you still see my pen? Yeah. Can you still see my pen? Oh, okay, no already, huh? Okay, how about here? Can you still see my pen? Can? Everybody can? Yeah. When you say yes, I must make sure that you are staring here, okay? Don't follow my pen and then say yes. Okay, so you are looking at this spot, right? Yes. So can you still see my hand? Yes, everybody? So I'm going to write something here. Don't look at me. Look at the cross. Yeah. So I'm going to write something here, okay? Can you see my hand moving? Yes. Confirm, huh? Okay, so I'm going to write something here. Can you see the pen moving? Yes. But can you read what is here? No. Okay, very good. Take a look at what is here. Something here. Yes. So the monk never lie, huh? Yeah. I said that I'm going to write something here. So what's happening here? When you are looking at this spot, you are able to sort of see that there's something here, but yet you cannot see there's something here. Yeah. So we say that the ability to see vaguely what is here is the function of the eye consciousness, but you're not able to read because the eye consciousness cannot discern. It is the mind consciousness that is able to discern. Understand? So the eye don't really read. In fact, the eye don't even see human beings. The eye only see colors. And that is why the Buddha said that the eyes come in contact with form. Yeah. Only see form, only see colors. Different patterns of colors. But in fact, even at that stage when our eye consciousness come about, it doesn't discern whether it's red, green or blue. Doesn't. Cannot give it a name. Because the naming part comes after that, when the mind latches onto it and then discriminate. Then give it the label red, white, blue, black. Give it the discrimination, this is a person, this is a human being, this is a man, this is a woman, this is my friend, this is not my friend. Yeah, but the eye consciousness just see the colors. In modern science, we call this function peripheral vision. Yeah, but modern science usually say peripheral vision is the one by the sight. Yeah? In some ways it's true. Yeah? In some ways it's true. But we say that, in fact, even if it's dead center, the ability to read is not the eye consciousness ability. The reason why I have to ask you to focus here and not here is because the moment you focus here, our mind consciousness, we're not able to stop it, So it's so fast, then we misinterpret thinking that it's the eye consciousness reading. Yeah? But now I do another experiment. You go and see what I'm writing, okay? And those, okay. Cannot see. Okay. I wrote this. So this is so interesting, huh? So how many of you see nu? How many of you see ah? How many of you don't know what I wrote? Yeah, so this is good. This is the Japanese character, the first letter of the Japanese alphabet, a, i, u, e, o, ka, ki, ku, ke, o, and so on. And this a is actually derived from the word an. Yeah, they derived the hiragana from Chinese characters. So they took the first part of the sound a, n, but they take out the n and become a. Yeah, a this is Japanese for a. So although you can see it directly, can you read it? You can't. Yeah? Why? Because in your mind, the mind is not able to distinguish. Because there's no, for those of you who haven't learned Japanese before, you cannot discern it. Yeah? But yet, and at the same time, there are those who look at this and think that it's a cursive form of nu. Yeah? And in a way, it is very close, yeah? Nu. If you write in a cursive way, it's very close. So, the eye consciousness don't read, cannot distinguish, cannot discriminate. Only the mind consciousness. Again, this gives us a chance to break away from our usual cycle. When we hear a certain sound, we have a choice on how we want to interpret it. But do we always interpret it in the right way or the wrong way? How many times do we interpret the tone as well and not just the words? That's the tricky part. That's the tricky part. So, 了别分别, the same goes for the other sense bases. Be it eye, ears, nose, tongue, body, or the mind. All of them similarly. Any questions? Yes. So for example, the ear consciousness. So at this point in time, we are all focused on what is being spoken here. So it seems quite apparent that it's the ear consciousness that listen. 我最後是用福建話兩聽有無？有人會聽有。それでは皆さんお元気ですか？聽無？Understand? But you may say that by its language. But think about it. When you're in a food court, lunchtime, a lot of people eating and chatting. When you're talking to your friend, you can listen to what he's saying. But at the same time, you can hear other conversation. But yet you hear but don't comprehend. Why? Because the mind is not interpreting it. So although there's ear consciousness, you are aware that there are people talking, you cannot interpret it. Because ear consciousness cannot interpret. Yes. 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 Give rise to. Come again? To. Give rise to sense consciousness. So when these three come together, then that is contact. And when there's contact, then it gives rise to feeling. Yes. Yeah. Okay? Can So, beyond feelings, when there's contact, it also gives rise to perception, gives rise to mental formation. 想行识. All these three all come about from contact. Without contact, nothing will happen. Okay? Yes. Sorry? 了别. Bare awareness. How do I explain? So it is to be able to be aware of something there. Be it sound, be it physical, visible form. You are aware that something is there. It is just like when you are for the visible form, when you are busy doing something, if someone walk past, you only see that something walk past. But you are not able to discern, Or let's say you're let's say deep in your thoughts. Someone walk past you do see the whole person, but you cannot tell who is that. You cannot tell who is that. Not because the person walks super fast. Even if the person sometimes walk up to you, you are deep in your thoughts. Okay. So, yes. When we interpret, depends on the level of interpretation. If it's forming of names, if your interpretation leads to giving it some name, this name or that name, then it is under perception. Under, then, for example, just now we mentioned about emotions. Yeah, emotions. Or in some places we say, like let's say, recollection of memory, yeah, can be under mental formation. Yeah, recollection of past events, yeah, for example. For example. Who?
What about Sanya? Sanya also recollection of
As I said, a lot of this, in some places it put it under perception, in some places put under mental formation. So in some places, recollection may be placed under perception. But in most cases, perception dealing with formation of ideas. Yeah, formation of ideas. Yeah. Okay. I was hoping that someone would ask this question. So, Xing Yi Shi. So the term chitta, translated as Xing or heart, then Yi is mana or mind. Shi is what we call Vijnana or consciousness. So these three terms throughout all the sutras would often surface. Yeah? Xing Yi Shi. Collectively, we can use Xing as the cover-all term, okay? And Yi and Shi as specific function of the heart. Let me give you an example. For example, this whole Buddhist fellowship, do you occupy the whole building? How many floors? 2 floors. So let's just look at this floor alone. Are we in Buddhist fellowship? Say yes. Yes. We are, huh? Yeah. But what do you call this room? This is also the Dharma hall. Yeah. So, specifically, the function of the Buddhist fellowship premise that serve this purpose is given the name Dharma hall. When I go into the room, they label it as Sangha room. Yeah, it is for Sangha. If I go into the toilet, is it still part of Buddhist fellowship? Yes, but for its specific function, we give it a name, toilet. Understand? Yeah. So likewise, this is referring to the whole mental construct. Yeah, the whole mental construct. When we come into contact with this world, and mental formations or mental constructs arises with that most subtle form of awareness, we call that consciousness. But then when that consciousness arises, and if mind continue to latch onto it, yeah, and then further discriminate, we call that mind. Yeah? And from there, many things can happen. It can start to think, it can start to give it names, it can start to reason and all those things. And all that can be classed under heart. But yet, in the sutras, you'll find that the Buddha very specifically goes into this kind of subdivision. Yeah? And all this can be considered as part of mind, part of heart. Yeah? The term chitta, there was once a senior monk from Sri Lanka was at Buddhist library. I think it's Bhante Ji. Yeah. So he was, if I don't recall wrongly, it should be Bhante Ji. So he was explaining the word chitta. See, usually we translate chitta as heart, and that's it. I said the deeper meaning of chitta is varied, varied, and it's referring to how the word chitta encompasses all the variety of mental mental processes. Yeah, all this under and give it a common name. Give it a group name called chitta. So, for example, in this room, collectively we say human beings. Yeah, but if you want to be specific, then there's man, there's woman, and then further, maybe there are some main com of BF. Then there's monk, yeah, and so on. Yeah? So likewise, 心意识, you can segregate them in this way. Okay? Vijnana, yeah. Chitta and Vijnana. Vijnana is that what we have just explained earlier, the different types of the first 5 consciousness, eye, ears, nose, tongue, body, that is just bare awareness. Okay? And then the mind consciousness is the part that is able to discern. Yeah? Chitta is the all-encompassing term. For any, it's an all-encompassing term. Okay? Yes.
For the 5 skandhas, right?
Yes.
Do they exist because of the observer, or is independent of the observer?
Does it exist because of the observer?
Yeah. For instance, consciousness is because of my consciousness, right? My bare awareness, my mind awareness.
Not yours.
So that's my question. Like, if I'm not here, is it still there?
So that's a very good question. Who owns the consciousness? How does the consciousness come about? Must I be observing? Must there be an I observing? Then consciousness arise. I don't know whether your question is related to quantum physics, but sounds similar. But let me handle it as a Buddhist question first. So, 2 ways to look at this. One is when you go and practice directly. That means you do meditation, and in your daily life you're going to observe and observe and observe. You find that the moment you come into contact, then there's that awareness. Yeah. Beyond these 3 things, there's no third-party observer resulting in the consciousnness. And this is a clue to all of us. How in Buddhism the practice of meditation allows us to experience what the Buddha referred to as anatta, no self. He posed this in a way a challenge or a question to the Brahmins, the ascetics who come to ask him, where they assert there's a self, yeah, that perhaps within forms there's self, or within feelings, perception, mental formations, or consciousness there's self, or perhaps outside of form, feelings, perception, mental formation, and consciousness, the 5 aggregates there's self, or perhaps self own the 5 aggregates, and so on. You can look at the one of the sutta called the net of views. There's a sutta called the net of views. There are altogether 60 or 61 wrong views. Yeah, 62. 62. 62 wrong views listed. Different permutation. Yeah, different permutation. Yeah, so, and the Buddha's approach is not simply to say, no, it's like that. But he asked them a question. So, can you find that thing? And they, in a way, when I read those sutras, the ascetics in the past, they are people with integrity. Some they would wiggle around. Then the Buddha would scold them and say, "You are like an eel, yeah, like the water snake, an eel. Yeah, you establish this, I refute it, then you change goalposts, siam, yeah, and you just keep, turn left, turn right, and so cannot have a proper discussion. So the Buddha, even the Buddha, sometimes we think, wow, Sifu, how come you are so hard? No, the Buddha, when a person is like that, he will just call you out and say you are like a eel. Yeah, stick to your ground. But most of them actually stick to their ground. And when the Buddha questioned them in this way, they would quite readily admit that, yeah, they cannot find it. And that's why some of them became convinced that the Buddha is speaking the truth. And they became the Buddha's disciple. Yeah. So your question, is there an observer for this to arise? No, there's actually no observer. Yeah. That's the observation. Only observation, no observer. Yeah. And observation arises when the sense base come in contact with the thing that is to be observed, the object. Okay?
Are you referring to the next of you? I think the one called it Brahmajala Sutta?
Yes, Brahmajala Sutta. Yes. You can also find it in Access to Insight. In quantum physics, they are having a lot of interesting discovery. And they are saying that at the quantum level, some strange things happen. Yeah. Or even at the electron level. There's this thing called the double split, the two double slit experiment. Some of you may be aware. Light, we usually say that it seems to travel in a straight line. Yeah. So some scientists, just in brief, because this is a whole science, and I'm not qualified to speak on it anyway. So some scientists were puzzled. So they put electron or photon, and then they shoot it at a slit. So it formed up into a wave pattern. Yeah. So if you put a slit and you shine light through it, you see a wave pattern. Okay, a wave pattern. So, is it wave? Let me think. Oh no. One slit, no wave pattern. So when I put two slits, suddenly it became a wave interference pattern. So it has to do with that. Hey, it seems to switch from particle to wave. Then when they say, okay, so which slit did the electron go through? And they put a detector. The moment they put a detector, the interference pattern disappeared. Yeah. So this became what we call the Schrodinger's cat question. Yeah. And they have all this question about is reality really reality? Yeah. Does it come into existence only when we observe it? And that's why I wonder whether this is related to that question. They are still doing experiments. They are still coming up with new theories to understand. Yeah. But there are many things that quantum physicists have observed and discovered that more and more closely matches what is being taught inside Buddhism about the ultimate reality. Yeah. And one of them is emptiness. So here we come back to see that the 5 aggregates are all empty. So we have 25 minutes left to eat a bowl of laksa. So question, how many of you like laksa? How many of you? Do you like laksa? Raise your hand, let's see. Okay, so Bita, lock the gate. We will have laksa party. Laksa. And of course, in the traditional katong laksa, then you have some pictures of prawns here and whatever. So you have the egg lah. Okay. And most have egg. Sorry, I cannot give you prawns. Okay, so very nice. So question, is laksa tasty? Yes. Anybody find that laksa is not tasty? Raise your hand. One person, okay, only one person. 2 person, okay, you all can sit together. So, anybody feel ambivalent about laksa? 1 person, 2 person, okay, 2 person. The rest of you all like laksa. Very good. So laksa, since most of you agree that it's tasty, the next question is, does laksa contain tastiness? It doesn't contain tastiness. How many of you agree with that statement, that it doesn't contain tastiness? Raise your hand. In that case, when you taste the laksa, what are you tasting? If it doesn't contain tastiness, why do you taste the tastiness? If it doesn't contain tastiness, then it has nothing to do with laksa. Then you shouldn't taste laksa tastiness inside when you are eating. Yeah. In that case, now you should be able to taste tastiness. Come taste. Can anybody taste the laksa tastiness? Like now I'm drinking water. Wow, lemak. Cannot, right? So it should be inside, right? Agree or not? Still don't agree. But if it's inside, before you agree so readily, if it's inside, then why is it that some of them don't taste it? So is it inside or not inside? This is the start of the confusion. Yeah. Allow me to adjust a bit, because this morning I had this meditation exam for the students. Not for me. I wasn't meditating. I was invigilating the exams, but I was having cough and everything. So after the whole session, I was turning off the aircon, and I had a very huge sneeze, and then so huge that I think I must have sprained my back. What to do? So tastiness. Is the laksa tasty? If it contains tastiness, everybody should taste it. But if it doesn't contain, then what are we tasting? Yeah. So this is the start of the question. Some of you may say it depends on the person. Yeah. But if it only depends on the person, then all of you should be able to taste the tastiness at this point in time. But you can't. You can perhaps recollect and recall roughly how it tastes like. And it shouldn't be the same as tasting laksa. If it is, then next time you just call any noodle and then taste laksa. Yeah? Isn't it? But it's still different. The memory of the taste is still different from the tastiness. So, what's going on here? If we were to do an experiment, Bita, lock up the door, and then we keep you all for 3 days, 3 nights. Tonight, later after class, we all have laksa. Okay? Those who like laksa, you will have laksa. Those who are ambivalent, the 4 person, yeah, 2 ambivalent, 2 don't like, you all will not get laksa. You will not get anything. Tomorrow morning, we wake up early, we have puja. After puja, breakfast. Again, we have laksa. And then 4 of you, again, you have nothing. Not even water. Okay, maybe water, I don't know. Okay, no water. So then, after that, we will continue with our lesson and everything. And then, we'll have laksa for tea. Lunchtime, we'll have laksa again. And we repeat this all the way until supper tomorrow. And we repeat this 3 days, 3 nights. Wow. Yeah. Oh yeah. Usually before I start on the laksa, I will give a warning that after this short session of laksa, it may totally ruin your taste of laksa. Just thinking, for some people, just thinking about eating laksa every day for 3 days is enough to spoil the taste. Yeah. So let me ask you, after 3 days, assuming if you survive that, after 3 days of laksa, for those who have been eating laksa, is it still tasty? Most will be no. Huh? In some places, they say yes. Yeah. So, in that way, then at the same time, we offer the 4 person who were deprived of food, and we give them laksa now. Is it tasty? Yes. So miraculously, we have made laksa appear and disappear. Now we may say that is still a bit too extreme, yeah. But if it's a truth, it should withstand extreme conditions, yeah. So apparently the tastiness cannot withstand extreme condition. Let's tone it down a bit. Let's say you had lunch already, okay, and after lunch you're relatively full. I give you a bowl of laksa. Is it tasty? No, yeah. Of course, some of you may be shy to admit that you actually will still find it tasty. In some classes, the top record is about 3 to 5 bowls, where a person can have 3 to 5 bowls before it's not tasty. Yeah. Regardless of the case, you will reach a point of saturation where it's not tasty anymore. Yeah. So it seems like it requires your physical attribute. Yeah. Your body, whether you are full or not full. But beyond that, how about your mind? Imagine if you are having laksa very nicely, tasty, for those who find it tasty. And while having it, you receive a message, yeah, a message of bad news. Yeah. Let's say you receive a message from your boss. Boss tell you, what happened to the report? What? Wow. At that point in time, is the laksa tasty? Not tasty, Wow. Then you gingerly, the boss write, call me now. Wow. Then you pick up the phone and call, and your boss, when you call your boss like, why do you call me? Then he said, I just received your text. Huh? I text wrongly, sorry. So at that point in time, is the laksa tasty? It's tasty again. So this is not too extreme, isn't it? Just within a few seconds, yeah, the change in our mood, our emotions, can affect how we perceive the laksa. Yeah, we can go on quite a bit. For example, if you order laksa and the waiter, not the waiter, you're happily eating laksa, and then suddenly your friend found a cockroach in her laksa or his laksa. Is it still tasty? No. Yeah. But the fact is that maybe the cockroach was in her bowl, but not in the original soup bowl, Yeah. But yet, no matter how people prove to you, yeah, it's not tasty anymore. So what's happening here? We say that it is not that the tastiness don't exist. It is not that the tastiness exists the way we think. It exists. The tastiness exists, but it exists dependent. Oh, no more ink. No more conditions to write. This is red pen. Dependent. Okay, let me try. Is it clear? Clear. Dependent on conditions. Exists dependent on conditions. Yeah. It doesn't exist independently. Only when there are conditions, then it exists. It depends on the laksa to be present. It depends on us. It depends on the physical state, the mental state. It depends on the environment. If we give you a bowl of laksa and ask you to eat in the toilet, is it tasty? Yeah. Now some of this may seem very obtuse and very extreme. Yeah. But the fact is that if it is tasty, then it should just stay tasty, and that is what we are talking about here. That it doesn't stay tasty when conditions change. Yeah. This is what we call 缘起有. Yuan Qi You. Another way to write this is dependent arising existence. Yo is basically existence, that it exists. So we don't say that things don't exist. It does exist. You and I do exist, but we exist dependent on conditions, just like the tastiness of laksa. At the same time, within all those conditions, can you find any laksaness, the tastiness? Can you find tastiness within the conditions? If you can find tastiness within the conditions, then you can just take that thing and you will taste tastiness. So within our body, can you find tastiness? You can't. Within the laksa, can you find? No. Because if you can find independently inside, then just anybody and everybody should taste the tastiness. But you can't. You can't. Yes. 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 So, 情人好简. Chinese like to be brief. So the original verse is 因上努力. Yes. 果上随缘. So let me translate for the kantang. Don't have to be embarrassed or ashamed. Sifu was once a kantang. Now I'm 土豆师. You know what is 土豆师? We usually say what is kantang. Kantang is actually not Chinese, it's Malay. So what is potato in Hokkien? Hanzi, no. Huh? Kantang. No, in China they call it 土豆. 土豆. But 土豆 is actually 土豆. So I'm a bit confused also. But I think it's called 马铃薯. 马铃薯. Yeah, 马铃薯. So for the 马铃薯, okay. Yeah, the French fries in us. So, yin, this is cause, and this is fruit. Fruit referring to the result. So, yin and guo. At the causal stage, that means here referring to our input. As far as our input is concerned, you must put in effort. You must put in effort. But as far as the result is concerned, fruit refers to the result. But as far as result is concerned, you must realize that the result is not simply your input. It is your input plus many conditions. 因缘果报. In cause plus conditions together, then there is the result and the experience of the result. So this is the full verse. That as far as the result is concerned, you cannot simply say, because I put in effort, so the result must be like this. No. The result still depends on the conditions. You plant a seed, that is the cause. But the result, whether there's a tree, whether there's a fruit, how big the fruit is, depends on many other things other than the seed. Isn't it? It requires many things that's not the seed. What things? Water. It requires the soil. Yeah, good. It requires oxygen, the air, the sun. Yeah, and in some cases, nutrient. Yeah, many plants just require water. Boom, that's it. Yeah, so seed is the cause, and in this case, referring to our input. I've been sharing this with many parents. Yeah. Many parents get very distraught when their children do not turn out the way they want them to be or hope that they will be. So I share this with them. 因上努力，果上随缘. If we were to make this a bit more visceral, have you all played this before? Have you played the stacking of cards? Yeah? Everything, including ourselves and others, is like a stack of cards, especially for children. The child is in a way a result of our input, but we must remember, when the child is born, a lot of the result is from us. Yeah? But as the child grow up, we put in lesser and lesser cards. Yeah? There are many other people who start to put cards inside his life. The children in the kindergarten, his or her siblings, the neighbors, the teachers when they go to primary school, and plus his own cards, yeah, his own thinking. Eventually, what we want is that he learn how to put his cards correctly. But if you have played this game before, you'll know that even if you stack the initial layer very well, if right at the top you misplace it, the whole thing can come crashing down, you know. Yeah. But sometimes it's because maybe the lower layer is not stacked properly. Sometimes. The important thing is to realize that in actual fact, maybe we are allowed to only put in some cards. Maybe most of the cards is actually not by us. Perhaps only the red color cards is by us. You know? Yeah. And as our children grow up, we cannot be expected to always be there to put in the cards. Yeah. Yeah. Realizing that we are involved, but we are not totally responsible. Similarly, for children, likewise for you all. There was once a senior monk shared this with me. He said, 自行, in future, if you are to give teachings, and the students are able to understand, don't think that, it's because of your great teaching. Because their condition is part of the equation. Yeah? You cannot claim full credit for their understanding. But likewise, if they don't understand, you don't have to bear all responsibility as well. So every week, every class that I give, I have no stress. If you can understand, good for you. Huh? Got good Dharma connection. But if some people cannot understand, I'm sorry, but your conditions. Yeah, because I teach equally. Yeah, I teach equally to the best of my knowledge and as equal as possible. Yeah. So likewise, with our children, we should realize that our input is only that much. Yeah? Whatever becomes of him or her depends on many conditions, and that person has to has to take more responsibility. Yeah? So 随缘 is a very powerful tool, but if we just take 随缘, then this is the result of the passive, laid-back, observer kind of attitude. But in fact, the original one is very proactive. That you proactively put in effort when you are supposed to put in effort. But you don't have unrealistic expectations of the result. Seeing clearly that your input, as long as you have done your best, then the conditions, you cannot control everything. And this lack of control of everything is what the Buddha meant by no self. That there's no absolute control. We have subtle, partial influence, but no absolute control. And that's why emptiness, this this fact that things arise because of conditions. The flip side, or another name for it is emptiness. Emptiness, what emptiness? 空. Empty of inherent nature. Yeah, it doesn't have inherent nature. Yeah. How is it so? Coming back to the laksa. Within the laksa, you cannot find tastiness. Within us, you cannot find tastiness. Within the conditions, cannot find tastiness. Yeah, you cannot find tastiness anywhere. Yeah. This is what is meant by no inherent nature. The moment conditions change, it doesn't exist. This is what is meant by it doesn't have inherent nature. If it's inherent, if something is inherently tasty, no matter what happens, it is still tasty. Huh? But for a start, if you look at laksa, is it inherently tasty? No. Yeah. For some mothers, it may be quite terrifying. You mean the things I cook is not inherently tasty? In fact, it's not, isn't it? Yeah. If you are inherently a good cook, then if I don't give you salt, can you cook? If I don't give you rice, can you cook rice? You can't. You still need all those ingredients to cook. Yeah. So, in fact, realizing that the tastiness of things depend on condition, then why should you blame everything on one person? It depends on the condition. Yeah. So instead of looking at things as independent by themselves, it gives us a whole broad new perspective. But emptiness is not just about laksa. Yeah? There are several layers to it. If I can jump ahead and ask you to apply this onto human beings, sometimes you may hear people make this statement. Complain. That person, horrible, that fella, this and that. Then maybe another person hearing this may say, no lah, he's quite okay what. Then that person, the face change. You think it's my perception? He's like that. Then maybe that person say, no lah, that was years ago, he has changed. No. Leopards cannot change its spot. In fact, when we hear that, or sometimes we may even say that, when we say that, we are saying that the person is inherently like that, inherently bad. But the fact is he inherently bad? Is he inherently annoying? Think again. Using the same way of reflection, ask yourself, is it true that under all conditions the person evokes annoyance? Do everybody, is it that everybody find that person annoying? If you can find one person who don't find that person annoying, then it's like the laksa. Understand? So it's not just about the laksa, of course. It is about how all things depend on conditions. They do exist. So we are not trying to deny that when you have a conflict with a person, the person really appeared annoying. But you must remember, it's actually not outside also. It is inside our mind. And that all arise depend on that person. So that person is not totally absolved, but that person plus your perception plus all the conditions, then there's an annoying person appearing. Just as now, do you see a monk in front of you? Say yes. Yes. Because usually after this lesson, when I ask people a question, people will be like, is there a monk or no monk? There's a monk. But in fact, the monk that you see is in your mind. It is not the same as the one outside here. Yeah. We say that you all see a monk. It's because you have seen something like that and been given the idea that this is a monk. That's why you see a monk. So it's this thing outside plus what is inside you that you see a monk. For some of you who have been attending my class, you may not just see a monk, you'll see Sifu, you'll see a kind teacher, compassionate, most wise, and or for some of you who have been scolded, might be you'll see a very strict monk. Yeah, and so each of us see slightly different things. If there's a kid, the kid don't see a monk, then that's why kids oftentimes when they see, not oftentimes sometimes when they see a monk, they may behave in such a way that is totally off the protocol. A few times kids, they come to me. There's one kid in Kong San, when he see me, 师父, then he'll run to me and hug me. So I'm like, well, luckily he's a boy. And then some of them, they will, because I have a pocket here, so sometimes I will take things out and then I put things in. So it got them so curious, and then the curiosity reached the max, and they just come in and wow, much to the fear of the mother. It's like, oh, my son is going to go hell. Yeah. And the reason is simply because the child still don't have a concept of a monk. And that's why when there's a kid, you usually see the parents saying, come, call Sifu, call, and some kids. Yeah, and then come, prostrate, bow down. Yeah, some kids will quite readily bow. Yeah, but they may still not appreciate the full implication. Yeah, they are just following it. Yeah, the same goes for calling this a table. Even the name. Yeah, what is this? You see, by now, don't know what is this. What is this? Don't know really. Very good. In a way, this is good, because the next time people call you idiot. What is idiot? Don't know. Yeah. We call this a table. Hokkien call it to ting. Yeah. In Teochew call it